Good afternoon and welcome for all the good viewers of this program who watch our program in the English version. Before we start, let me send a link to our Telegram. I've seen a lot of people have joined our Telegram. I'm hoping that those people will also subscribe to our regular program on YouTube. I'm going to share that link with myself as well from Telegram so I can view it as well. And in case if there's a problem, we can solve it right away. I tried to test a new device in the Persian language to see if we can have some background music for programs. Apparently, it didn't work well, but I worked out some tweaks here and there to see if it works now. For all of those who watch this program live, if you are watching it, I'm going to test that again and see if we can have the noise come through. If you hear it and it's good, give me 1. If it's bad and you cannot hear it, give me a 2. And that way we can figure out if the volume is there or if the volume is not there. And that way we can find out what we can do to solve the problem. So I'm going to test it again. Let me know what you hear. Volume is there or if the volume is not there. And that way we can find out what we can do to solve the problem. So I'm going to test it again. Let me know what you hear. Volume is there or if the volume is not there. That way we can find out what we can do. I don't think I heard it either. So I have to do something else to it to figure out why it's not playing. Okay. Allow me to share with you our link for today's program. Today we are starting a new chapter and a new person. Today we will be talking about Jafar Sadiq's son, Musa al-Kazim, the sadistic psychopathic killer, Musa al-Kazim. I'm going to bring this up higher so that you can see it easily. This is the link to the program. It should show up on your screen sometime soon. Right now you're looking at the link. The screen is going to come higher so that you can see it better. The person who wrote this book that we're covering today is the same author that we've been talking about. Well-known, big name, tied to many of the influential people of the time. The name of the author is Bagher Sharif al-Qurayshi. The name of the book is The Life of Imam Musa bin Jafar al-Kazim, meaning the life of Musa, son of Jafar, and his title is al-Kazim. Chapter 15, where we talk about Imam's children, his own childhood and his children. Okay, we're going to look at what's going on. Imam Musa had a good, pure children who were the best children of the Muslims. You can write this about anybody. He himself was the best children. His children are the best children. My neighbor's children are the best children. Everybody's the best children, okay? They feared Allah. They were righteous. Their behavior, their piety, they refrained from doing sins. My neighbor also, his children refrained from doing sins. They don't steal. They don't rob. They don't rape. They don't, you can write this about anybody. And so this is what they were. That is because Imam directed them to righteous directions and pure into their souls, ideals. He poured into their souls faith in Allah. I mean, who didn't do this with their kids? except those whose kids end up in jail. Everybody else does this with their kids. There's nothing special here to bring this person up. Now, what the Shias, I have to open up a topic here for you. What the Shias teach about this Imam, they say this Imam is Bab al-Hawa'ij, which literally means he's the door towards your needs and prayers. You know, whatever you want, come and ask this Imam because it'll be granted like that, you know. They say if he asks Allah, it'll be done. It's a done deal. It's a done deal. We're going to open that up and see if it's really a done deal or not. Shias teach that this is the Imam that didn't want to have anything to do with the world, and all he ever wanted to do was pray and worship all day and all night. He didn't want to have anything to do with the world, nothing with the worldly needs, you know. He didn't care about his food, his clothing, sex, anything. He just wanted to pray and pray and pray and pray. I mean, if you went and you opened up the mosque, he would be in there day and night, night and day. You know, that's it. He just lives inside the mosque. That's the picture they show you. He wanted to do that so much that he prayed that God will put him in a closed area away from the world. So God threw him in prison by himself, and he was in prison just worshiping God. That's what they tell you. You know, anytime you talk about this Imam, that's what the Shia tell. We're going to open that up and see if it's real or not. Okay. Here it says, this is because the Imam directed them to do all of that. Concerning them, Ibn al-Sabaq has said, surely each of the children of the Imam, Abu al-Hasan Musa, this Imam Musa, had a memorable excellence. Yeah, so they're all, you would remember them for how excellent they were, right? Sheikh al-Tusi said, surely each of the children of Abu al-Hasan Musa, right? The cat is bothering my feet. Anyway, Abu al-Hasan al-Musa has a famous, excellent, and laudable deed. They have great deeds, and let's see what happens. They inherited from their forefathers virtue, honor, and glory. So now everybody has virtue. I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't have virtue. Good or bad, you have virtue. Everybody has honor. I mean, even the guy who kills like 10 people and goes to prison, the other prisoners, you know, they honor him. They say, oh, I only killed 5. You only killed 8. He killed 10. I mean, everybody has an honor, right? If someone becomes a doctor, they're honored by being a doctor. If someone's an engineer, you honor them and call them a chief and so on. If someone became a captain, if someone became a pilot, if someone became, you name it, you know, they become a great athlete, they become a big star, a singer, whatever you are, you get honored, right? You become a good judge, you're an honorable judge, you know, everybody's honored. What they're writing about this guy, you can write about anybody. Glory, you know, if you've succeeded in life in doing something, you have a glory. You know, you graduated high school, you got glory for graduating high school, you graduated college, you know, whatever you became a bus driver, you got your, you know, credentials for it. You know, you got some glory there. Anybody got glory. There's nothing special so far. So through their behavior, they were wonderful examples for virtue and perfection. So all of his kids were perfect. All of his kids. You know, there wasn't one that wasn't perfect. Everybody was perfect. Who was judging? That's what I want to know. Some of them declared a revolt against the government of Abbasi. Now, for all of you who are listening to this in English, I'm sure you don't know, but I'll explain it to you. The family of the human feces, Ghatam Muhammad, because that's what his name means. Ghatam means human feces. So we have to call it what it is. If I say Ghatam, you don't know what Ghatam is. It's an Arabic word. But if I say human feces, you understand that because it's an English word. So Qatam means human feces. His name was human feces until he renamed himself Muhammad. So the name his family gave him was human feces. So this human feces, who then became the so-called Muhammad prophet, human feces had two uncles, two big uncles. One is Umayyad, and the other one is Abbasid. Later on, as you can see, these two uncle families went to war against each other. Umayyads were in charge. Abbasids wanted to be in charge. Jafar al-Sadiq, the father of Musa al-Kazim, all descendants, so-called descendants of human feces, used to be financed by the Bani Umayyad. And when the people asked him to go to war against the Bani Umayyad, he said no. Eventually, he did so much sin on this planet, they couldn't keep it down anymore. They had to get rid of him. So the Bani Umayyads killed him. Then his son, Musa al-Kazim, came in. During the time of Jafar al-Sadiq, the Bani Abbasid, the other side of the uncle of human feces, was taking the war to the Bani Umayyad. They were gathering the people. Which people? Muslim people. I mean, think about it. This is the Muslim empire, the empire that's going to war, bringing the Muslims to go to war all the way to Spain, throughout Africa, and throughout Asia, everywhere else, dominating Persia and everything else. These were Muslims, right? They weren't Hindu. They weren't Buddhist. These were not Christians. I mean, the Christian's not going to go to war with the Christian, right? These were Muslim empire going to war against everybody else. Hence, the people that are there, these are all Muslims, right? So Abbas al-Khalifa gathers the Muslims. They're going against the other family members, the Umayyads, and an internal struggle to see who will be the new governor, Khalif of the Muslim empire. And the Abbasids got the upper hand. They were able to defeat the Umayyads, and they became the new Khalifs, the new governors, the new leaders, the new kings, whatever you want to name it. Now, here, Musa al-Kazim's children are revolting against the Abbasids, meaning they were on the side of the Abbasids to take out the Umayyads, and now they're fighting against the Abbasids so they can be in charge. So this religion is not the religion of worshiping God, it's the religion of, if I got a bigger bicep and a bigger sword, and I can chop your head, I'm in charge. It's the religion of chopping heads and bullying each other around. Now let's go back to what they're saying here. That they might make the Muslims happy. Which Muslims? The same Muslims that joined on the side of the Abbasids to take out the Umayyads. So now, what we've learned in Islam from this is that if you think you are right, then the rest of the Muslims don't count because you're the only Muslim. Because apparently all the other Muslims helped the Abbasids get in power. So if you want to make some Muslims happy, you're not going to make those Muslims happy that helped the Abbasids get to power. You'll make them sad if the Abbasids leave. So which Muslim are you making happy by trying to take out the Abbasid? Yourself. You're the only Muslim. You see, none of the Muslims count the other Muslims as Muslims. You know, only you're the Muslim. Everybody else is wrong. This is the story of Islam. You know, every sect says the other one is wrong. I'm right. I'm right, and he is bad. He's not even a Muslim. Come on now. You don't believe me? Go ask your Muslim friend. Ask him, what is he? Is he Shia or Sunni? If he says he's Sunni, tell him, are the Shia Muslim? He'll tell you no. Ask him, are the Baha'i Muslim? No. I mean, they believe the same Allah, they believe the same human feces Muhammad as one of their messengers. No. Ask him, are the Ahmadiyya Muslim? No. Are the Nation of Islam Muslim? No. Everybody's no Muslim. Ask him, are the Alawite Muslim? No. They'll say that about it. Everybody will say that about everybody. Okay? Nobody's Muslim. Nobody. But then when it comes to talking to the non-Muslim, they'll tell you, we have over 1.2 billion Muslims. You tell them, where are these Muslims? I mean, everybody I mentioned, you say is not Muslims. Who's left? It's story of lies is Islam. Okay. Before we mention the biographies, we have to mention the genealogists and the traditions. I can mention that for you very fast. Human feces had a deficiency in his private area. His sperm count was low. Back then, they didn't know what sperm was. I mean, they didn't have the word sperm. They would say your water, because it was liquidy. They didn't call it sperm. Now we call it sperm. So his water, aka sperm, was low. He couldn't have kids. The people would make fun of him. And then he had to come and put it in the book of God, his God, Allah, that don't make fun of the Prophet because, down there doesn't work. Allah sent him a tray of shish kebab. He ate the shish kebab. Supposedly he got the power of 40 men, not muscular wise, but with his just stood up like someone who took a whole entire jar of Viagra. It just never went down. It just always stuck up. And when he walked, you have to watch out because it might poke you. You never know. And he was bisexual, so he will poke you. So human feces walked around like that, but still, it didn't fix the sperm count problem. So he could never have kids. So in order for him to have kids, he took the youngest child of his first FUCKING contract with a woman named Khadija. Her youngest daughter at the time when they made this contract was Fatima. Fatima was already born. He said, this will be my child, like he said about all the other children of Khadija. But the other children of Khadija, they were all at that time adults. Only Fatima was a kid. Hence, he wanted to raise Fatima. He tried to have sexual relations with Fatima because, he's into pedophilia. But he couldn't get anything done. So in order to save face among the people and make it look like his lineage will continue, what he did was he married Fatima to his own cousin and a child that he raised from young by the name of Ali, who he also called his brother. Why? Because he needed Ali's sperm in order to mix with Fatima, who he called his child, so that maybe from that lineage they can have offsprings, which then he can call his own kids. And he did exactly that. Fatima, at a very young age of less than 9, ended up getting pregnant by Ali, who was well over the age of 20, closer to 30, another pedophile. And through that, they had few offsprings. From the boys, They were Hassan and Hussein. Muhammad, Mr. Human Feces, called those two his kids. Not Ali's kids, Human Feces kids. So he claimed them as his own kids. Hence, he can say he had offspring. But in reality, that's not how it works. However, when you're the one calling the shots and anyone goes against you, gets their heads chopped off, that's how it works. And this continued. So from the offsprings of Hassan and Hussein, now we are here. As you watched all our series, we're going one by one by one. So now these are the offsprings of human feces based on what I just told you. So now we're going to count based on different reports given from people that lived at that time and saw Musa al-Kazim and saw his kids and all of these perfection kids, the purified kids. We're going to see these sinless kids. How many kids this Musa al-Kazim had? Number one, they were 33, 16 male, 17 female. Number two, they were 37. You know, this guy, I don't know if he was a rat, a mouse, a rabbit, a cockroach, an ant, because, you know, he was just non-stop. I mean, how you have this many kids? Okay, 37, 18 male, 19 females, okay? You might be thinking we're talking about dogs having kids, and then, you know, you got all these litter of babies. We're talking about a human being, ladies and gentlemen. They were 38, 20 male, 18 females. They were 40, 18 male and 22 females. They were 60, 23 male and 37 females. There are other narrations than this, than these. The names of both male and females are as follows. When it says there are other narrations than these, that means, ladies and gentlemen, the number of kids kept going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. I mean, yeah, I mean, what do you think when the guy says all his time he wanted to contribute into worshiping and praying? Worshiping and praying to you sounds like someone worshiping their maker. But over here, the worship in Islam is the worship of your private area. And how do you worship it in action? By he has to have sex all day, all night. I mean, that's all this guy did. Here is a list of names. The first one is incorrect. There is no such thing as Imam al-Rida. Imam means the clergyman, and then Rida is his title. The name of this kid is Ali. It's Ali al-Rida, which the Iranians like to call Alireza. Okay, Reza is the title. Ali was his name. They lied to you. Okay, so I cut them in their act for you. Then you see the name of all these other kids. And then here's the list of females. These are all his kids. Okay. His nikah sex. You know, the nikah is the Fucking contract. Okay. Sex slaves and incest pedophilia with his own kids. That's right. If you didn't think of it, why do you think I call this guy a psychopathic, sadistic killer? He's sadistic because he has sex with his own children. And we're going to prove it to you. Fatima bint al-Hassan. That's one of his so-called nikah contracts. Najma. And then after that, here are his sex slaves. Tuktan the slave. The next slave. By the way, until the time of Ja'far al-Sadiq. The sex slaves that these so-called imams of the Shia faith, they used to go and kidnap babies from Iranian cities after they would invade them in war. They would kidnap the little girls and they would bring them back as sexual slaves, and they would have kids with them. We saw that from the stories that we covered from the life of Hassan, Hussein, Ali Zain al-Abidin, Muhammad al-Baqir, Ja'far al-Sadiq. So in those 5 imams, we saw this. When it reached Musa's time, most of Iran was already forced into becoming Muslim. Forced. You had 3 options: death, become Muslim, or stay your religion and continuously pay obnoxious amounts of money that kept going higher and higher to the point where you couldn't afford to pay it anymore, which would bring you back to the first 2 options, death or become Muslim. So a lot of people were forced to become Muslim after they saw people dying by the thousands and thousands and thousands being slaughtered. And we're not talking about soldiers, we're talking about regular citizens of the country. Others who didn't want to die, they were forced to become Muslim. So they couldn't go and kidnap their girls anymore. But by this time, the Umayyads had pushed the invasion of Africa and into Spain from the other side of Europe. Hence, they had more and more black slaves coming into the fold of Islam. And now, from this point on, Musa starts getting blacks as regular slaves and sexual slaves. Females are sexual slaves. The men are castrated and are regular slaves. And as you know, human feces has said that all blacks, anything black, is a devil and it will be going to hell. Whether that's a black dog, black bird, black human being, black whatever. If you are black, you are going to hell according to Islam. It is a hadith, the tradition of the Prophet, where he says, when Adam was created, Allah struck him on his right shoulder and his offspring came out white and like ants, meaning tons of them. You know, ants, when they come out, there's so many of them. And Allah said, these are his offsprings and they're going to heaven and I don't care. Meaning whatever they do doesn't matter. They will be fine. If they do sin or not, they're good. And then Allah struck Adam on his left shoulder and his offspring came out black like charcoal all over the place. And Allah said, these are his offsprings and they are going to hell and I don't care. Meaning, no matter how pious you are, you're destined to go to hell because you're black. If you don't believe that tradition, the Quran in Surah Rahman says, Allah is saying here, on the day of judgment, those who will get their book of deeds in their right hand, their faces will become bright and white. I mean, the KKK would love this religion, bright and white, and they will go to heaven. And those who will get their book of deeds in their left hand, their face will become black, and they will go to hell. So when you are black, you are going to hell, okay? All you black people that listen to my voice, remember, according to Islam, according to the God of Islam, that Allah and his Prophet the human feces, you are destined to go to hell no matter what you do. So if you want to be a Muslim and you're black, I think you need to get your head checked because something is missing. Some fuses are not connected properly. Okay, we need to connect them properly. Okay, you need to get a checkup from the neck up, see what's going on there. Okay, these are his sex slaves, the females that he got from Africa as slaves that were stolen from their family members. And now they are his sex slaves and mothers to some of his kids. Slave wife, known as al-Khawari. Slave wife, they don't even give them a name because they're black. No one wants to know their name. In Islam, black, you're very, 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 very low, on the totem pole, okay? Even amongst the Muslims. They might not openly say so, but, you're black. Come on now. There's levels. There's levels. Arab is at the very top. Black is at the very bottom, okay? Iranians are a little lower than the Arabs. Pakistanis and Indian are a little lower than that. Indonesians are a little higher than the Pakistanis. Malaysians are a little higher than the Pakistani because, their color, it's just by color. Come on now. And then you get all those guys down, and at the very bottom is the black. You don't believe me? Go to any mosque. Go to any of their masjids. If the masjid is not dominated by black people, let's say the masjid, most of the people that go there are Pakistani, or Indonesians, or Iranians, or Arabs. If you go to such a place, if you see a black Muslim come in, you'll see that person is isolated. Nobody wants to really talk with him. Nobody wants to sit with him. But, if a white guy, meaning someone whose ancestry goes back to Northwest Europe, became a Muslim and walked into that same mosque, you'll see everybody hover around them because of the color. Hence, all of these women, you see, they don't even value them to give their names because they're black. Black. So all the imams, including Ali al-Rida, they are all born black, which means they are all going to hell. This is the religion that shoots itself in the foot. Next, I'm going to show you the names that are written in red, underlined in red, highlighted in yellow. These are all the girls that were born to this Musa al-Kazim. These are his biological daughters who he also had intimate nikah relationship with, who bore for him children, meaning incest and pedophilia at the same time. Okay? These are the names. They're all in that book, by the way. I'm showing you what's in that book. Okay? These are the names. When you see Ummah is what they would call a mother. So when they had a little girl that they impregnated, in order to cover up and not let the story go far out so that people will find out this guy was a sadistic incest type person, instead of calling that person by their name, put Ummah in front of them. For example, let's say the name of the girl is Janet. But now you had sex with Janet, and Janet now became pregnant, and Janet now has a child. Well, to cover it up, you no longer call her Janet, you call her mother, Ummah. So now she becomes mother. Everywhere you want to call her, you say, mother, come here, mother. These are all his own daughters he had sex with. And of course, Imam al-Rida, as you know, all of these Shia Imam, from when they were infants, they would live in the house of their grandparents, meaning they would have to be in bed with their grandfather. And their grandfathers would take care of them in the bed. Now, grandfathers, as far as I know, don't have breasts that give milk to infant kids. But they do have a private part that they can force down the throat. This is why all of these imams were bisexual. They were made and conditioned. They were formed into being bisexual from a young age. And when you play with the sexuality of a small child, it affects them mentally. And that child will then need to go through a lot of therapy. But, as you can see, that's what has happened. Now, let's make this easier for everybody to read. I keep fixing it, and it keeps going back out. I don't know why. The next link I give you is from Quran.com. That's the link. We're looking at chapter 4, verse 24 of the Quran. This is the Arabic of it. This is the famous verse that allows Muslims to do temporary marriage. Now, the Sunnis may tell you, no, it's not allowed. Human feces, Muhammad disallowed it. The question you need to ask your Sunni friend when they tell you that is, who is worth more? The words in the Quran or the hadith of the Prophet? Because as you know, all Muslims tell you every time they don't like a hadith, they say, that hadith is weak. That hadith is weak. Oh, that's fabricated hadith. I don't like the hadith. Oh, show me the Quran. Show me the Quran. That's what they tell you. This is the Quran. This is the words of Allah in His book, the Quran, the number one book, the top book, Allah's words. So you cannot use a hadith to ban this book. You would have to use another verse from this book to ban this book. Your hadith have to be in line with this book. That's how you catch them. When they try to play that game with you, that's how you catch them. According to this book, let's look at what it says. Also, forbidden are married women. Okay? Except female captives. What does this mean? This means, I'm going to break it down very easy for you. You are living in your home right now. But around your home, you have neighbors. If the next door to you, your next door neighbor, if he has a wife, it is forbidden for you to go to his house, grab his wife, throw her in the bed, spread her legs, and start doing what you want to do. Except if you take her as a captive, then it's free for you. Meaning what? Your next door neighbor has no clue, but you declare jihad. You go to your next door neighbor. You beat him up. You beat him up really bad. You tell him to stay in the bed, and you grab his wife and you take her to your house. She's now your captive. In your possession. Now, if you want her, fair game. That's what it said. This is Allah's command to you. Allah commanded it. It's the order of Allah. Allah, the God of Islam, He said to you to do it. You can do it. Lawful to you are all beyond these. Meaning, your next door neighbor has a daughter. You like the daughter. Daughter comes out of the house to go buy ice cream. You run out of your house. You grab that daughter by the back of the neck and you bring her back inside your house. It's lawful for you. Do it as much as you want. It's lawful. You go to work and you see somebody there, another female, you want her, take her. Lawful. This is what it says. Lawful to you are all beyond these. If she doesn't have a ring on her finger, consider it done. Take her wherever you see her, whoever it is. Doesn't matter. Okay? As long as you seek them with your wealth. In a legal, but it doesn't say marriage, it's contract. What kind of contract? F-U-C-K-I-N-G, contract. Where's the wording in Arabic? Right here. I'm going to highlight it for you. فَمَا اسْتَعْتُمْ. فَمَا اسْتَعْتُمْ does not mean izdawaj. Izdawaj and فَمَا اسْتَعْتُمْ are two different words. Marriage is izdawaj. فَمَا اسْتَعْتُمْ, its root verb is muta. We have two types of F-U-C-K-I-N-G contracts in Islam. We have nikah al-nikah, which is a long period F-U-C-K-I-N-G contract. And then we have a short-term F-U-C-K-I-N-G contract, which is muta al-nikah. Muta is فَمَا اسْتَعْتُمْ. The 10th verb from it is muta. If you take فَمَا اسْتَعْتُمْ, the 10th verb from it is muta. It's not izdawaj. So, you seek them with your wealth, with your money, for a short-term contract. She ran out of the house. The daughter ran out to go get some ice cream. You pay the guy for the ice cream. You take the ice cream. You grab her by the back of the neck and you bring her inside your house. You shove the ice cream in the mouth and then you start your deeds. That's it. That's the only condition. You got to pay. Okay? Doesn't say how much to pay. There's no limit. And it doesn't say how you have to pay. Doesn't have to be money. It could be an advice. Cover your head. Put a hijab on. That could be the amount. There is no such thing as it has to be money. Give those you have consummated F-U-C-K-I-N-G with. Okay? There's no izdawaj in here. They're due dories. Meaning, the only time you shoved that ice cream down her throat is after you were satisfied. If you're not satisfied, she don't get that ice cream. It is permissible to be mutually gracious regarding the set door. Meaning, Allah gave you permission that you can be kind in how much you want to give or what you want to give. Meaning, if you didn't want to give her any money and you told her the advice of putting a hijab on her head, you can be kinder and tell her to also put a niqab in front of her face. Surely Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. We know how all-knowing Allah is. Allah is so all-knowing that in the same book, He says that the earth is flat. Allah is so all-knowing in this book that He says He made earth before He made the universe. And He's so knowing in this book that then He comes and says He made the universe before He made the earth. And then He's so knowing in this earth that He wants to count to 7, but He counts to 9. He's so knowing in this book that He says bees poop out honey instead of vomit honey. He's so knowing in this book that He says that animals give milk to their offsprings from their stomach instead of their breasts, which are in front of their stomach. He's so knowing in this book that women have sperms. Yeah, that's right. Human women have sperm. I mean, what do you mean you don't know? Don't look at me like that. Yeah, ask your wife. She'll tell you she's got sperm. The sperm comes out. And you think babies are made. Women have sperms. So that's the knowingness of this Allah. And of course, He's wise. He's so wise that He let this Hamas party attack Israel, and now Allah is underneath the boots of the IDF Israeli soldiers. That's how wise He was. Okay, that was verse 24 of chapter 4. Now we go to chapter 4, verse 25. Here's the Arabic of it. And here we are in the English translation. But if any of you cannot afford to marry a free believing woman, who's a free believing woman? Someone who believes in Allah, happens to be woman, and she's free, right? She wasn't taken from Africa or Iran or somewhere else as a sex slave. Huh? Abdul married Abdullah in a sex contract, and then they had a little baby. Another Abdullah came out, and this Abdullah girl is a free believing woman. Okay? Let him marry a believing bondwoman possessed by one of you. You. Huh? Who's this believing bondwoman? Sex slave. It's a girl you took from her own family somewhere. You've abducted her. You've brought her to your house. She's forced to provide all your sexual pleasures for you. And the only way she could figure out that maybe she can get out is she saw Muslim women don't get treated like her. So in her mind, she thought if she becomes a believer, you will set her free. So she became a Muslim believing sex slave, but you never set her free because it's your say. And now Allah says, if you don't have the money to get a regular Muslim, pay a little less, go, do the ding, ding, ding with a sex slave that one of you own. One of you in the community, anybody. Huh? Jack can go see Jim and borrow his sex slave. Abdullah can go see Abdul Mateen. Abdul Mateen can go see Abdul Jabbar. Like the basketball player. Yeah, he calls himself slave. He's the slave of Jabbar. Come on, man. What do you expect? These people don't know their religion. They just, it's like wearing clothing. They think they're somebody. All the Abduls are slaves. Abdul means slave. Everybody's a slave. So now you go, you see one of your friends. By the way, I wonder what word are they using for this one of you. Did you think what word one of means in Arabic? How do you say one of? One of. How do you say that? Interestingly, we have the Arabic here. Right here. Ahadun. You see this? Ahadun. 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 Ahad. Ahadun. This is the same word you see in that famous surah where they say, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. It's the same. When you say ahad, it means one of you. One of. Say Allah is one of, but they mistranslated there. They pay lots of money. Muslim countries pay a lot of money. Google Translate has to change ahad into one if you put that whole sentence. If you put the sentence, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, it'll become, say Allah is one. But if you put ahad by itself, it becomes one of. The Quran is full of it. Hey, Abduls, don't go paying Google Translate to change ahad by itself into one. Because we have it in your Quran. Your Quran is full of it. What are you going to do? Change all the ayats in your Quran now? Every single verse you're going to change? Are you going to change them all? Are you going to change this from one of you to one? A bondwoman possessed by one? Are you going to change it? Are you going to take out one of you? Are you going to take out the by, and you're going to take out the of, and you're going to take out the you? Your Quran is full of it. What we say is documented by you and your Allah. So by one of you, ahad means one of. Okay? By one of you. Okay. What does that mean? Let's say I have slave women for sex. My neighbor doesn't have anything. He needs a woman. He'll come over to me. He'll offer some money. I grab the girl by the neck, put him in front of it, so he can do what he wants. Essentially, Islam now made me the pimp. That woman became prostitute, and the guy is the client. He's the John. Following on, Allah knows best. Oh, Allah always knows best. The state of your faith. You know, if you do this, don't think it's bad. Allah knows best. And theirs. You know why it says and theirs? Let me explain to you why it says and theirs. In the verse prior to this, chapter 4, verse 24, remember right here, forbidden are married women except captives in your possession. Meaning, in the scenario that a person has sex slaves, that person can commit sexual activities with that slave, and it's not held against him. He does not even need a contract. Just offer something. What is the something? Food to keep her alive. A little bit of clothing so she doesn't freeze to death. A roof over her head, even if it is a place where animals live. You can keep them there. You know? So the owner is having sex. In verse 25, the guy who doesn't have a lot of money is paying the owner so he can also have sex. So you have a sex contract that you made with this girl, that you paid the owner, And the owner has sex with this girl. So when this girl eventually gets pregnant, this child is going to be your child, even if the biological father was the owner. That is why Allah knows best. And that is why your faith and theirs. You are from one another, meaning you are all the same. So who cares who was the real father of this baby? You got to take care of it. You, because you made a contract, you see? You're legally bound by a contract, a sexual contract. And now because of the sexual contract, all the kids popping out of her will be yours, no matter who she has spread the legs for. So marry them, meaning do the sexual contract, the F-U-C-K-I-N-G, with them, with the permission of their owners. It is exactly like when you go to a house, and in that house, the owners of that house had 2 dogs, and the dogs had a litter of puppies. And now you go to that house and you're looking at the puppies because you want to purchase one. And you want to look at the boys and the girls and see what they look like and their colors and which one you'd like. And the one that you like, you pay the owner, and the owner grabs that little dog and brings it and puts it in your lap, and you take it. Likewise here, you have a girl that's stolen from her family. She's been abused and raped by the guy who has her in his possession. Now you paid the guy so he can now give you this girl to use for your pleasure. And when you're done using the girl, she has to return back to the old guy's house because she's still his slave. She doesn't live with you. She has to come see you and go back there. See you and go back there. Just like a prostitute. A call girl that comes to your house to do the deed and goes. That's exactly what this girl has been transformed into. So marry them with the permission of their owners. Give them, the owners, their dowries in fairness. Because if you remember, if you're giving it to the girl himself, you can only give it to her after you've consummated the deed. You know, you've done the deed, you're satisfied, then you pay. But because you haven't done it yet, and you're paying, who are you paying? You're paying the owner, the pimp. If they are chaste, neither promiscuous, nor having secret affairs, see, the girl you have to make sure the girl you're going to have this transaction made on hasn't had other partners before you. Only the owner can, you know. But now, if after you are with this girl, the owner is with this girl, if she completely loses it in her mind and starts to open her legs for everybody, what does that mean? It means when she starts to have kids. Okay? That's what they're getting at. This is for those of you who are one step higher. Okay? If they commit indecency after marriage, meaning they open their legs, right? They receive half the punishment of a free woman. Now, let's keep this in mind. You have a girl who's been taken captive. She has no say in her life because the guy who has her as a captive has to tell her what to do all the time. Open her legs when she has to, close it when she has to. On top of that, that guy made a contract with you. And now you both tell her when to open her legs and when to close it. And she's under the possession of the two of you, meaning she can't go anywhere. She either has to come to your house and then go back to that guy's house. She's not going to the mall. She's not going to any concerts. She's not going to school. She's not going shopping. She's not doing any of that. So where did she get a chance to sleep with a third person? Obviously, this is not about sleeping with a third person. This is about when she gives birth. And you say, this isn't my kid. And the owner says, well, it's not my kid. It has to be somebody's kid. So somebody is an imaginary person you both agreed she's sleeping with. And because you both came up with an imaginary person, and this kid really belongs to one of you too, now you can punish her for having sexual relations with someone else. Hence, she gets half the punishment. That means if you went and you picked up a big stone to throw at the head of the leaving woman who's cheating, and instead of a big stone, you get little stones to throw at this woman's head. Isn't this great? And Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. Why? Because when you kill this poor girl over giving birth that belonged to either one of you two, Allah will forgive it that you killed her. So what? You just killed a black little slave girl. Who cares? Allah doesn't care. He forgives. He's merciful to you. You know? She had it coming. Shouldn't have given birth. Who told her to get pregnant? This is Islam, ladies and gentlemen. You're learning Islam the way nobody else would have ever told you. Because nobody else is going to come and open that like this. Put the two beside each other. Break it down for you. Step by step. Explain it to you in what reality the meaning of the words are. No one will do that. Here in our university, we will. If you like our programs, don't forget, subscribe to our programs. Share it so others can subscribe. Tell people to subscribe when you share it. Leave a like button. After the program's over, leave some comments. Make sure that this gets pushed by the algorithms as far as we can get it pushed, so that more people's mind can be open to the truth. Until next week, I leave you